Artificial intelligence is a phrase that we use for any device that does things which in the past we have associated only with human intelligence. For instance, if you have a machine that can alphabetize cards very rapidly, until recently only human beings could alphabetize cards. In that case, you've got an example of artificial intelligence. But this does not necessarily mean that something that is artificially intelligent thinks, quote unquote, precisely as a human being does. It may be a completely different kind of intelligence. The machines may specialize in certain, quote, mental activities, while human beings specialize in others. We do a great many things we're not good at. For instance, we're not really good at arithmetic. We need help. We need numbers, we need pen and paper, we need devices. Well, the cheapest computer in the world can multiply and divide faster and more accurately than we can. That's its specialty. Our specialty is different things. So that you end up not having artificial intelligence and natural intelligence identical, but two different things, two different specializations. They work together. Each supplies the lack of the other. And in cooperation, they can advance far more rapidly than either could by itself. Furthermore, computers are not just immobile things, because you can hook computers up to machinery and have the machines that spare human muscles also act in such a way, in such a versatile way, that they seem to be thinking. You have artificial intelligence applied to machines, and we call them robots. In science fiction, you always think of robots as man-like metallic creatures. But actually, any machine that's computerized is a robot. And we have industrial robots right now that don't look the least bit like human beings, and yet that do things that until just a couple of decades ago, only human beings could do. And we're going to live in a future, perhaps, in which we will have personal robots as well. Robots that do look like human beings and that replace, for the first time, what we used to call servants, and humanity in general will be freed of all kinds of work that's really an insult to the complex human brain, that requires no great thought, no great creativity. Leave all that to the computer, and we can leave to ourselves those things the computers can't do, such things as imagination, creativity, fantasy, intuition, problem solving, where we don't have to have the exact conditions and know exactly what's happening. We have an intuitive feel for what the solution ought to be. No computer can do that. And we can save our own brains for that purpose. Now again, what's life going to be like if we are completely computerized and completely robotized? What are the side effects? Will there be difficulties? Undoubtedly. Will there be things that we won't like? Undoubtedly. But we've got to think about it now, so as to be prepared for possible unpleasantness and try to guard against it before it's too late.
Well, back in 1939, I began writing robot stories. And by the time I'd written 2 and 3, there was a pattern in these stories. I was having my robots behave as though they were guided by 3 laws. The first law was that a robot couldn't hurt a human being, or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. The second law was that a robot had to obey orders given it by human beings, provided that didn't conflict with the first law. And the third law was that a robot had to protect its own existence, except where that would conflict with the first 2 laws. These laws hold for tools generally. Number 1, a tool must be safe to use. And 2, provided it is safe to use, it's got to do what you want it to do. And 3rd, provided it is safe to use and it does what you want to, it's got to last. Before I wrote my stories, most robot stories were filled with this Frankenstein bit about the robot destroying its creator. There are some things that men were not meant to know. However, having worked with the 3 laws for 35 years practically, I was asked to write a robot story to end all robot stories, so I wrote one in which robots became so intelligent that by any reasonable definition, they define themselves as human beings, you see. So that now the three laws of robotics became the three laws of humanics.
Personally, what I always had in mind was that if robots became more human, you see there's another possible ultimate end of robots. Instead of robots becoming God, robots become man, humanity. If robots become closer and closer to human beings, and if human beings themselves, through prosthetic devices, become closer and closer to being robots, the point may arise in which people will wonder what the distinction is between robots and human beings. And my own feeling is that the proper solution to such a dilemma would be, who cares?